Hello and welcome to the Digital Reg YouTube channel. I'm Adrian, the PC Components editor, and I'm here today to review the ADATA Legend 850 Lite, a PCIe Gen 4 solid-state drive for PCs, laptops, and even the PlayStation 5. I'm holding here the unboxed sample of the drive, and to give some background, it features a read speed of 5,000 megabytes per second and a write speed of 4,200 megabytes per second. It even comes with a metal heatsink or heat spreader. It is sized at M.2 2280 or 82 millimeters long and 22 millimeters wide, which is a standard size for most M.2 storage product. Let's install this drive onto my test machine. The installation should be pretty much straight. However, since I'm installing it with my PC standing up, it can be tricky. But if you're doing it at home, I would recommend installing it with the case lying down. The test PC runs on an Intel Z790 board with a Core i5 12600KF CPU and 32 gigabytes of RAM. The GPU installed here is inconsequential since I'm also running a GPU review. I forgot to set the Q latch to the unlock position, hence the difficulty in installation. I'll just fast forward it to the point of adding the motherboard's M.2 heatsink. And for this review, I will be using the motherboard's heatsink because it provides a balanced thermal report for all of the test drives. The other M.2 PCIe Gen 4 drive, which I'll be using for comparison, actually does not come with a heatsink when bought, but it will also utilize the motherboard's M.2 heatsink for cooling. Let's proceed with the review proper once the drive is in place. Back when I unpackaged and took a look at the SSD, we can actually spy a Silicon Motion SM2269XT memory controller, which is based on the company's white paper, is rated to go up to 5.1 gigabytes per second, or roughly in the area of 5,100 megabytes per second read speed. For its write speed, goes up to 4.2 gigabytes per second or 4,200 megabytes per second. Now, it has a random read and write value of 900k IOPS, which is the input and output per second on Silicon Motion's paper. Running a benchmark using Crystal Disk Mark 8 does give a direct readout of the read and write capabilities from the tool's first line. Also, the thermals report as good, running at a good 40 degrees on idle, and on heavier loads around 50 degrees, which is not a huge problem when it only runs a few degrees higher than the control SSD for comparison. And to tell what type of control SSD this is, it is a Kingston M.2 PCIe Gen 4 drive. The result from the benchmark run does indicate that the read and write speeds generally follow the specified performance by the memory controller. But how do we actually get the actual performance or get a feel of the actual performance? The next set of tests will cover common real-world scenarios. The first test involves copy and pasting a video file to simulate copying from a backup drive, which is this case a hard disk drive for editing. To save on time, I'll be accelerating the play speed of the files transfer for the control drive and for the Legend 850 Lite in the background. Note that there might be some slight differences when getting the final results from this video recording. So I'll probably overlay the results which I got earlier, and this goes for the folder test as well. Pulling up the results for both show that the Legend 850 Lite is able to transfer a file faster than the control drive. Now let's try transferring an entire folder to simulate an action where I'm moving my installed game folder to a newer, faster drive. The game I'm transferring is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and the source drive is from a PCIe Gen 3 drive. Again, with the results, the Legend 850 Lite completed the transfer quickly, but against the result of the control drive, it seems that the control drive struggled with the folder transfer midway, and its transfer speed dropped to a mere 200 megabytes per second, or even lower, like 30 megabytes per second. As for loading tests for games, I did test the drives for Cyberpunk 2077 and Ghost Recon Wildlands. For Cyberpunk, I ran a loading test from my last save point from the main menu. And for Ghost Recon, I timed the loading screen, or whenever I fast travel between safe houses. And as expected, loading times for the Legend 850 was a lot shorter. And to conclude, the ADATA Legend 850 Lite is a compelling solid-state drive from ADATA with a decent read and write speed for a PCIe Gen 4 storage drive at a cost that's not shortchanging on performance. Maybe, just maybe, could they include a M.2 screw? Because sometimes people tend to lose their M.2 screws whenever they set up their PCs, or they misplace it from their motherboard's box. Just a safety precaution. And with just a slight difference of around 300 to 400 pesos against the cheaper PCIe Gen 4 drive that we're using for as a control, we definitely have a winner here. And finally, thank you for taking the time to watch this review, and be sure to hit like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.